Welcome to today's episode. Iran journey reveals society's wartime defiance and hope. That's the headline from a New York Times dispatch by Abdi Latif Tahir, with photographs by Emil Duck. They were among the first Times journalists to visit Iran since the war with the United States and Israel began in late February. The story opens before they even landed. On the Iran air flight, every seat pocket held a leaflet bearing the face of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, the supreme leader who was killed months earlier at the onset of the US-Israeli attacks. The message was unmistakable: visitors were being introduced to a nation in mourning, determined to highlight the foreign aggression it had endured. At the airport, portraits of Khamenei watched over the arrivals hall. Giant banners proclaimed endurance. Posters and flags called for revenge. The state's narrative was clear: Iran had suffered, it had survived, and the world needed to see both. Tahir and Duck arrived in early July as part of the first team of New York Times journalists allowed into the country since the war began. Before that, thousands of protesters had been killed following anti-government protests that started in late December. They were permitted to report on Ayatollah Khamenei's funeral ceremonies, accompanied by a government-appointed translator and a guide. They spent several days in Tehran, the capital, before traveling to Mashhad, the birthplace of the Ayatollah and the city where he would be buried. During their visit, the war, which had briefly paused under a fragile ceasefire, began flaring again. Yet the Iran they encountered was shaped by war but not defined by it alone. Even as the state projected strength, resilience, and national unity, the people they met revealed a more complicated reality. They found grief accompanied by a fierce sense of national pride. Opposition to the government was tempered by unease over foreign intervention. Outwardly liberal lifestyles unfolded alongside religious mourning. Anger at Israel and the United States coexisted with frustration over economic hardship and state restrictions. Understanding Iran, Tahir writes, meant holding all of those realities in view at once. Their first stop was Golston Palace. The government's choice was hardly accidental. It wanted to show how the war had reached beyond military targets to places central to Iran's history and culture. That visit set the tone for a journey through a society layered with defiance and weariness, despair and hope. That's the picture from Iran today. Thanks for listening.